Did you know that 75% of the world is covered in water? And did you know that only 1% of that water is potable? Water is a basic need. Do you know what we're doing to protect and preserve this 1%? Today we're going to discuss the story of bottled water, from its manufacture, to the big box store, to the homes of consumers, and lastly to their disposal. We will also look at the connections between people, planet, and profits. Large corporations such as Nestle, Coke, and Pepsi display corporate-driven demand. If corporations want to continue to grow, they have to sell more stuff. And to sell more stuff, they need to manufacture a false sense of need. To do this, these water giants use three tactics: by attempting to scare us, seduce us, and mislead us. Firstly, the corporations scare us by telling us that our tap water is unsafe. As CEO of Gatorade Susan Wellington stated, "When we are done, tap water would be relegated to showers and washing dishes." They then seduce us with labels of mountain springs and pristine glacier water when most water comes from public source such as the tap. Lastly, they mislead us. According to Nestle's ad campaign that ran in the Globe and Mail in 2008, bottled water is the most environmentally responsible consumer product in the world. The very first bottle of water first arrived in North America in the 1970s in a glass bottle labeled Perrier. Now, if you look at where we are today, people feel like they need bottled water and definitely enjoy the convenience of a one-time use throwaway bottle. Bottled water gets manufactured and then distributed to all the big box stores for consumers like us to buy. These water giants need to fulfill the consumer demand of 500,000 bottles of water every week in the US. This is enough bottles to circle the globe 5 times. According to the consumer advocacy group, bottled water costs about 2,000 times more than tap water. And this is no secret, yet we're still inclined to buy. So, the North American population buys a lot of bottled water, and we continue to buy because of its convenience and our perception of it being cleaner than the tap. But something that we don't think about when purchasing bottled water is, where is that bottle going when I'm done with it? That brings us to the problem at the other end of the life cycle: disposal. What happens when we're done with these bottles? According to the Container Recycling Institute, about 90% of PET bottles end up in landfills, where they take between 450 and 1,000 years to break down. This is a picture of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, and this one jar of 7 in the world is 2 times the size of Texas. The plastic may break down, but it will never be eliminated from our ocean again. Our salt water will forever be contaminated. You sure need a lot of water to fill 500,000 bottles per week in the US alone. So where the heck is all this water coming from? It's a mad dash for corporations like Coke, Pepsi, and Nestle to scope out the rights of fresh water in small towns across the globe. These companies come in quick and dirty, and it's all about who has the bigger pump. As Gladys Marhefka wrote, "It's estimated by the UN that by the year 2025, more than 2/3 of the world's population will not have access to enough clean water." Presently, water has become a $400 billion growth industry. So what should you do about it? Well, it starts with you and a personal commitment to not buy or drink bottled water. Find yourself a reusable bottle. To be the change agent in your network, you need to be a catalyst and assume the responsibility for managing the change process. We need to remind these water giants that a business's obligation, beyond that required by law and economics, is essentially to do the right things and act in ways that are good for society. We need to demand proof of ethical behavior and ensure that rules and principles that define right and wrong behavior are closely followed. It comes down to human needs and rights over profit. In conclusion, we've discussed the corporate role in the water industry and the consumer's role. We looked at the environmental impact of the bottled water industry and discovered how we can truly be the change agent. We looked at the connection to people, planet, and profits, and looked into the ties of CSR and ethical behavior. It's time for us to take responsibility for our actions and the future of our planet. It's time for us to take back the tap.